helping and supporting people to realize their financial dreams. Most recently, Renee's passion has been fighting for Jamaica Plain and Roxbury neighborhoods. She has spent the last few years becoming involved in almost every discussion about the well-being of her neighborhood and neighbors. She is learning that when you are not part of the discussion, you have no say in what happens around you. Today, Renee's fight revolves around protecting black and brown communities at risk. Past choices and decisions made at the state and city level have resulted in negatively impacting the generational wealth of black and brown families from our community. It is her goal to reserve that trend and help uplift and build wealth for these families. Thank you. Welcome, Renee. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, after I met you, I met you on Zoom, I believe, and then we had the meeting Monday, and then you all were out there Tuesday, and I said, this needs to be talked about more. What is going on in our community? These decisions that are made that really do not, we're not at the table. Well, we need to be at the table, and we need to be making some decisions. And so I want you to tell people exactly what we're talking about here.
So back in 2019, Boston Medical Center and the Commonwealth had conversations with some city groups, neighborhood groups around redeveloping the Shattuck building, the Lemuel Shattuck Hospital. The building, I think after 70 years, it's at the end of its useful life.
Okay.
So the idea was, their idea is to level the building, redevelop it into a building that would move much of the problems that you see at Mass and Cass into the Shattuck campus, which of course abuts Franklin Park.
Right.
Which is a black and brown park used by many people.
Yes.
That over the years, and if you hear the stories of how the Shattuck, and I grew up, I learned how to ride a bike in the park. I learned how to walk, fly kites. I'm West Indian, so we had the West Indian Festival there, cookout. So their goal is to move this group of people to that campus after a development. Originally, the proposal was for 75 to 100 beds. We heard rumors of 400, and then we got the final proposal. It's 851 beds.
Which is ridiculous.
Now, mind you, 851 does not mean 851 people. It is 851 beds. And some of these units could be multi-units, so it could be well over 1,000 people living on this campus and using this campus.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, go ahead. And so, what the name of your organ? Are you part of the organization? Are you part of CAUSE?
I am.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about CAUSE, what the acronym stands for, and what you all are doing.
CAUSE stands for Coalition for Regional-Wide Services Beyond Franklin Park. Myself and 5 other neighbors from Jamaica Plain, we came together because we started to see problems in the park with the cottages that was placed on the campus, on the Shattuck campus, around 2021, I believe it was, like 2020, 2021. And what we were seeing, I walk my dog in the park. I no longer walk my dog in the park. But what we were seeing was people, actively using drugs, tents. We're hearing people screaming and fighting in the park. People are using the park and for their bathroom, and it has hurt people's animals because the animals get into the waste and they can die. So we came together as a group what we're asking for as a group is we're asking for BMC and the Commonwealth to think about this proposal and get back to the drawing table because the proposal does not work as it is. So the idea is we want full transparency around this conversation and this development because the BMC and the Commonwealth never spoke to all communities that surround the park in the beginning.
Right, right. And so I believe it's not only BMC, but they have partnered with DCAM, which is the state, as well as Pine Street, and isn't there another?
Honestly, I cannot. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. But you are correct. It is it's Pine Street Inn. It's DCAM, and there's several other service providers that are part of this discussion. I believe Victory Programs, and I can't remember the others.
So there was a meeting Monday night with some community leaders, which I was a part of. That's where I got to. I was at the first meeting they had there as well. So there was a meeting Monday, and then there was a meeting Tuesday. Could you tell us a little bit about the meeting on Monday?
So the meeting on Monday was Diane Wilkinson pulled together neighborhood leaders from all different sides of the park and even beyond the park, right? So she pulled together people who have a voice, who are seeing what's happening in our Black and brown communities. And we spoke with two people from BMC, Bob Biggio, and I cannot remember the other man's name, but we spoke to them to ask them questions about this plan and what their plan was about. And when you listen to them talk, the plan is not realized yet. And for them to not even have concrete concept and plans on what's going to go there, that's alarming, because if you're going to bring this if you're going to bring this conversation, it should be 100% developed. And we should be able to talk about what that looks like. We do understand that people need help. We do understand that people are suffering, but this development isn't it.
Right, exactly. Especially the fact that it started off with 75 to 100 units, and then all of a sudden it's 851. I mean, that makes no sense at all. Absolutely. And for them to just think that they're just going to shove this down our throat, no, those days are over. We're the community, and you have to listen to us. My motto is, we are the people, and we have the power. That's and right. So we have to exercise this power by holding them accountable, and having them listen to us. So tell me, Tuesday night, what happened Tuesday?
So once again, BMC had one of their open houses. It's not a meeting. It's not. Prior to this in-person meeting, there were two quote-unquote Zoom meetings where you could get community input and you could share. Those meetings aren't what we thought they would be, where you can actually ask for them to be fully transparent about what they're trying to introduce to our neighborhood. So the meeting yesterday, was it yesterday? It was Tuesday. It was Tuesday. The meeting on Tuesday, it was like an expo where you can go from table to table and ask questions. That is not what the community is asking you for. We are asking you to go back to the drawing board, go back to the table, and let's talk about it. Because I tell people, if you walk down any street in any of our neighborhoods and ask people, do you know what is happening? You will realize that a majority of our people do not know.
That's right.
How is that fair?
Right. You just going to try to shove something down our throat. You go to a few organizations, you have a meeting, one or two, and then you feel like, oh, you've had community input. But no, you haven't. You've just picked a couple of people to say yes to your crazy plan. Basically, that's how I feel about it.
If I were to assume they knew that going to Jamaica Plain and asking Jamaica Plain for their approval, that they would have gotten that. They did not go to the neighborhoods that it would truly affect.
Exactly.
Truly affect.
Yep.
There's a bus that runs for free from, I believe, by the park up into Mattapan. Is that the 28?
28, yes.
It's free. Those people that are on that campus, they're getting on that bus, and if you ask what's happening in Mattapan, it's traveling because you're getting on that bus and they're going to Mattapan and things are happening.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Yep.
So, the meeting on Tuesday, it's just basically telling you this is what we're doing. You have no choice. That's how I assumed that day was. And one thing I will say about my community, we came out and we showed them that you don't get to make these decisions. So we were the loudest person in the room, and that's what needs to happen.
Right. Well, I was there for a little while with my bullhorn, but I couldn't stay for the whole meeting.
Oh, you did an amazing job the time that you were there.
But we have to make noise. We have to let them know. We have to, like Derek said, we have to be in Mara Haley's ear. For real. It's like, no, you can't just come and do this. We're tired of you running over us, taking our land, taking our property, kicking us out of our city. It's time out for that. So because I couldn't stay for the whole meeting, what's the next result? What's the next step for us?
So I think for us as a group, we have to come together again, have another, because our meeting at the Brooks School back in the early half of August, that was a true community meeting.
Right, exactly.
That's exactly what you call true.
Right.
So we had everyone. We had over 200, maybe almost 300 people.
Yes,
and that was a true community meeting where people get to talk.
Right.
Where we got to hear from different people. We heard from one of the people who lived at Mass and Cass, then went to the tiny cottages, and she says it does not work. Listen to what she's saying. She was like, even on the tiny cottages, it was dangerous. People were actively using. And how can someone get sober if you're sitting in the middle of other people using,
right.
which is what this new development will do. But I'll come back to that. So our meeting was true community involvement, true community conversation, and true transparency. Our next meeting is to do that. But what we would like to see, instead of 300, we want 600. And our next meeting needs to go to 900.
Right,
and we
right.
want people. Now, what we're saying, we're not demonized. This is not about being NIMBY. We like to use that term to sell narratives.
Could you say what NIMBY means?
Not in my backyard.
Okay.
And it is used to there are some people who don't want certain developments to come because it's a racial thing, if you will, right? So in this particular case, they're using this terminology NIMBY to silence the black voice. You don't get to do that.
No.
You don't get to silence my voice because, as I tell a lot of people, I grew here.
Right,
you
right.
flew here. I'm always going to be here.
Right.
So once it's bad and you move, I have to deal with what's here.
Right. I like that. I grew here. You flew here. Yeah, I like that.
Right, and then you want to tell us what we can do with our neighborhoods and basically decimate our generational wealth.
Exactly. It's a shame and a disgrace, and it's very frustrating because you see all this development going on. All these projects are going up. Apartments here, condos here, everything, little villages here.
And screaming what? And screaming, we have a housing crisis.
Right. How do we have a housing crisis when you have all this housing going up?
And rents at $5,400 a month for a 3-bedroom.
And it's just insane. And they keep continuing to build and continuing to build. I sit on the Boston Employment Commission, and they just keep bringing every month more all these projects. And I'm like, what are they building? For who? Because they're trying to push us out of here. But like I say, we are the people, we have the power, and we're going to exercise it. I mean, we have been able to make changes in the city, working with organizations like BECMA and the Black Boston COVID Coalition. And, Diane Wilkerson is very resourceful, and she has a lot of knowledge, and she's well respected. And so it's good to have her at the table because she knows what she's talking about. And it's clearly time for us as community to really come together and say no. And So I was trying to also, I was trying to get in touch with Lewis because I wanted him to come on too, because he has a wealth of knowledge as well, and the bottom line is that they're just trying to snowball us, and they just, it's like, come on, do you not see us? And that's why I ask people to join the Franklin Park Coalition, because that's a voice there. You have a voice. For $10 a year, you can join, and the more people that join that coalition, the more people they will be able to see that, we are a force to be reckoned with, and this coalition of these organizations that are coming around the table, because like you said, it's not just Jamaica Plain, it's Rosendale, it's Dorchester, it's Piece of Roxbury. So it's all these neighborhoods are coming together, and we're saying no more, no more, no more.
We to me, the one thing I would say about this whole process, which is beautiful in itself, it is bringing people together that would have never met each other or been in the same room together. The night that we met on Monday night, we had a reform gang member who now has created a security for Dudley.
Yeah.
And he's giving back to the community by getting other ex-gang members to patrol their own community. Think about Black people patrolling their community, because who else is going to do it at this point?
That's right.
So you when you think about it, that piece, it's nice to come together, because we're seeing it's not just a black and white thing. It's all of us are coming together, and we care about each other.
That's right. Because we've been in the struggle for a long time, and it's time for us to come together and stop backbiting, stop stabbing each other in the back. We can pull our own resources together. Most of we're in partnership. She's in partnership with us around the block, the Black Local Organizing Committee. He's the president of the Nubian Square Economic Development Corporation. Wawa's the president of the Nubian Square Foundation. These are all organizations that are working together in collaboration. My organization, the Marcus Anthony Hall Educational Institute, where we're teaching young folks how to become leaders, how to be able to advocate for themselves, for them to be able to go down to City Hall and testify about some of the things that are bothering them, And there's a lot of us, and we're coming together, and we're saying, listen, we know how to develop and do things just like the other folks do, It's just that we need the same resources. Right? There's no more everybody, they keep saying to us, they keep talking about all this money that's here. Well, where is it? Where is it? Because it's definitely not getting to where it needs to get. We have a lot of nonprofits. We have a lot of community-based organizations. We have a lot of businesses. Small businesses. We should be building up our businesses, and this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to come up with a collaborative, a coalition of like-minded people. Because this is what we need. Like-minded people, for us all to go down to City Hall at one time and say, no, enough is enough. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. The State House, this is what we have to do. But we're business owners as well as residents. Whether we run a nonprofit, a for-profit, a community-based organization, a small business. If we're vendors, there's the ways that we can collaborate and bring things together for us. Because it doesn't make any sense for us to keep fighting against each other, because what are we getting? Nothing. And those that are betraying us, when we find out about them, we need to call them out and kick them out. That's what I say. Tar and feather them and send them back to where they came from. That's what I say. So,
no, I think you're right. I was after 18 years in banking, I saw some things that I fought to make sure that Black and brown people got the loans that they wouldn't have gotten anywhere else because there was no voice between, that client and the top of the house. So I made sure. And if I couldn't do it, I found somebody that could.
Exactly.
So even if I couldn't close a loan or if we wouldn't approve a loan, I made sure I went to the mat for my customers so they can get their loan to start their business. But to your point, there are so many businesses in the city of Boston, Black-owned businesses, that there is funding out there, but the thing is, we don't know about it. Most recently, I think it was this year and the last year, there was a fund called the Dream Fund that was giving $50,000 for down payment assistance, and it did not care what your income was. Did anybody hear about that? I got on the phone. I kept calling people. I'm like, take this class. But by the time I found out about it, it was at the end, and the fund was almost drained.
Right? That's what it is.
So how do we find this information out? Because I'll tell you, there were people that don't look like us that were able to get that money.
Of course.
Because they knew about it. How did you find out about it?
Exactly. It's that same old network. But the thing about it is we have that same network. But we tend not to help our brother or sister,
Amen. Yep.
which really is jacked up, So that's why I try to do everything I can to support and help my community, And when I find out about something, the community finds out about it. Every Thursday on this radio station, And so we're trying to expand. We want to be on here every day telling our people, what's going on, because this is what's needed. And just imagine if you have Black businesses coming on as broadcasters, as community leaders, giving information, talking about how we can build with each other. We need to be building Black, banking Black, and being Black. I mean, it's so hard because they pit us against each other. Like if you're from Jamaica, they say this. If you're from Haiti, they say this. Whatever country, and then they tell them, oh, well, when you get there, don't deal with American Blacks because they're lazy, they're this, they're that, and and it's very frustrating because wake up. It doesn't matter. What country you come from. If you're Black and you get stopped by police, they're not gonna ask you that.
No.
They're not gonna ask you what country you from. They're gonna look at you and say you Black, and they're gonna treat you like you Black.
Facts. Yep.
So yeah.
I think with us with Black people, because my aunt always makes a designation between there's Black and there's of color. And let's talk about Black people. There's power in numbers. And even though we say it, we don't know what that means because we don't exercise what that means. So my goal is in life, and through the blessing of my God, all my knowledge, I'm supposed to pay it forward to my brothers and sisters and lift them up. Because I always take pride in the fact that I helped you. I don't want anything from it. I just want to see you do better. But what I'm asking you to do is once I help you, you need to help the next.
That's
and
right.
you need to help the next. So you continue to pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
So people call me all the time. And I left work in May of last year before to finish school. And I still have people calling me and asking me for help. I can't do anything, but I sure as heck can go find somebody who can.
That's right.
Right? So that's
right.
what we work to do. But, I see it. I see that as Black people, we tend to, what I see, and if I assume, you can do good, you just can't do better than I am doing. And we need to, we can't
stop
think like that. Right?
Because there's enough for all of us, to be honest.
No, we're deep.
we
run deep.
We all can get a pie and a cake, instead of the crumbs off the table. Because I'm really sick of the crumbs off the table. I'm sick of fighting for a decent wages, for housing that I can afford to live in, being pushed out of my community and being sent somewhere else an hour drive away, and I can't get back to my job. These are things that as we as Black people think about it, and as we're organizing, and as we talk about the election and things that are going on, we need to get more involved. We need to make sure that when, they're trying to pass a law now where 16-year-olds can vote. And I agree with that. If you can get your driver's license at 16, if you can drop out of school at 16, why can you not vote at 16, you know. And so one of my young interns, she actually worked on that bill of you, when you turn 16, you register to vote, you can vote. And then they also have a bill out, 17 and 18, 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to register to vote, so that when they turn 18, they're automatically registered,
Ready to go.
you know.
Yeah.
And so there's, you know, a lot of people don't like to talk about politics, but it affects all of us, you know. And we have to learn how to be able to speak up for ourselves. We should be able to write a letter to our elected official, whichever one. Some people don't realize we have 5 city councils. We have our district, there's 9 districts, and then we have 4 at large, you know. And so it's like, when I have a problem, I call all 5 of them, you know.
Yeah.
And they call me back too, because they know I'll come down there. I don't care. And I'll come down there with people. So the bottom line is that this is what we have to let them know, that you work for us and you're going to do what we tell you to do. And so now we see people being removed from their seats, you know. So it's like, okay, somebody's speaking. So now we as a community, we have to get together and say, and start looking at people who we really want to represent us, people who we see that's in the field, that's doing the work, you know. Not someone that just becomes that's worked in the mayor's office and
There
all
you
of a sudden
go.
becomes a candidate,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, this is this is
It's sad because, you know, and I think for it, when you look at who's sitting, first of all, I want to thank everyone who voted in the primary, because you did your job. There are people that are not sitting in their seats anymore, and quite rightly so. They did not behave accordingly and appropriately, right? That's what I think. That's my opinion. So we did our job, and I'm surprised, but I'm not, because it's about time, right? The thing is that we as people, and myself, as I'm learning, we don't ask open-ended questions of our candidates. We ask them yes or no.
right.
That's a problem, because it could be yes, but it could be no, but. But you guys, they always ask it. No, I'm going to ask you 101 questions. I'm going to make sure you speak 80% of the time. I'm going to speak 20% of the time. And when I'm speaking, is asking you questions.
That's
and
right.
more questions. We don't do that. And we need to make them uncomfortable, because if you're going to get this job, you're going to have to jump through hoops of fire with me to prove that you can sit in that seat, because I pay your paycheck. I deliver your paycheck to you through my taxes.
That's right.
So when you have situations in your neighborhood, like, you know, I went to Boston Public Schools.
Me
you know,
too.
a lot of my friends passed away on the streets of these on these streets.
Me too.
When I was in high school, I went to more funerals, and even junior high, I went to more funerals than I should have gone as a child. Our elected officials, and if you're seeing what's going around the city, have you seen any of our elected officials at the scenes of any of these crimes that you're seeing? Not
None.
one. What are you doing? Because you need to be there with those parents. You need to be
Exactly.
there. You need to be on the ground.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I don't know. That's a problem, right?
Right. So
that's another problem.
We're losing these children that are passing away on our streets. We're losing the next plumber, electrician, mayor, governor. We're losing them.
Yeah.
So why aren't they standing up and being part of that and being in the weeds?
Yep.
You see them walking around. When do you see them walking around? During election, when they're knocking on door, begging for your vote.
Yep.
What happens before and
And
after
after.
that? Where
That's right.
do you see them?
Right.
So
On Twitter,
I like
TikTok, you know.
I love a good social media, but I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think our elected officials needs to be on social media.
Because the bottom line is they're not getting everybody. You know, what about our seniors, our elderly that is, you know, are at home? Some of them barely have a TV and a telephone. You know, I think every senior should have a Chromebook or a laptop, and make sure they have a smartphone. You
Yep.
know, I mean, there's a couple of different, you know, programs. One of them is under my educational institute. I call it Senior Soldiers, where we want to take our seniors, put them in a van, take them to City Hall, listen to them hearings, and then come back, give them some lunch, and let's discuss about what was said. How can we, you know, either advocate or not advocate for this bill or for this ordinance? You know, there's ways that now, because of COVID, we can stay at home literally and watch the hearings, and we still can be involved. We could have a Zoom call later on that day or the next day and say, well, what did you think of when they said that? Because as long as they keep us separated, divide
Isolated.
and
Yep.
conquer, But there's ways now that we can communicate, and I'm quite sure there are some folks out there where we can develop and create our own Facebook, our own Twitter, our own whatever,
TikTok.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
We can. We have the people here. We just have to nurture them and love them and give them confidence. That's what my program, Marcus Anthony Hall Educational Institute, is all about: educating and training our young folks to stand up and be lawyers, doctors, senators, presidents. EDs of these companies and stuff. And so. I'm so happy to meet you. I'm so happy to be part of the coalition, because I see things, that is going to happen, that is going to bring us together. We're not going to be able to get everybody. Jesus couldn't get everybody, right?
No.
But for the ones that will, like the Bible said, whosoever will, let them come. Well, then let's wrap our arms around them. We got to get the younger generation, the young folks that are at Teen Empowerment, the ones that are at Madison Park CDC, the ones that are at these youth programs. Those are the ones that we need to be incorporating. They need to be at our feet listening. They need to be at these Zoom calls taking notes, finding out what's going on, in our community and how they can help. I love to see young kids coming from school, a group of them, 8 or 9 of them, talking and laughing. That's how life should be, And I know these young kids are geniuses.
Oh, they're brilliant.
I know, we just got to cultivate them, And Boston Public School need to be ashamed of themselves. I'm telling you, the mayor needs to be ashamed of herself for not allowing us to have elected school committee. She needs to be ashamed of herself for trying to send the O'Brien school to West Roxbury. Michelle Wu, she's the one that really needs to be held accountable for some of this stuff too. And I'm inviting Michelle on my show, because when I met with her, when me and Pastor Hobbs met with her in February, she said she was going to come on. What month is this? September. Okay. So I'll give her to the end of the year to come on my show and talk about some of the things that is bothering our community.
Oh, she'll come now, because it's an election year. Just kidding.
Well, she doesn't go up for election till next year.
But she prepares. She starts to prepare now, right?
Yeah, but you know what? We fool us once, shame on. How that saying go?
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice,
shame on me. Right. Yeah.
To your point, we missed the mark on that on that on that one. I think what I'd like to see is, for the election for mayor, we have more people in that race. We have more leaders and activists from our neighborhoods in that race. And I think people think it's so far removed that they can't. Yes, you can. You can do anything you want.
That's right.
But you need the support of your Black and brown communities that's going to support that. And I think also too is that, as we also need to understand, what are the elected officials who are sitting in their role right now, what are they doing? Because do we really know? Right?
Right. Not only that, we need to, this was some folks didn't have what is it? Oh my God, my brain just froze. Competition. Yeah, some didn't, they gave a pass, like District 4. He didn't have no competition. Do I have a call? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Sister Priscilla.
Good morning, Grace. How are you, darling?
Good. And guest.
Yes.
Good morning.
Her name is Renee.
Renee.
Good morning.
This is Miss Grace Richardson, another powerful advocate in the
Hi,
community.
Miss Grace.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
I just want, because I'm all about education. I just want you ladies to elaborate on why we should be against the removal of the O'Brien to another location.
Well, for me, I feel like John O'Brien was an activist in our community. And I feel like it's going to be difficult, our children getting up to West Roxbury from our community. They talk about shuttles and buses and all that, and we know it's not going to work. So that's my take on it. I believe that more of our children are going to fail. I believe that more white folks are going to be at West Roxbury. And I just, that, and along with the rejection of the Boston Public Schools. I mean, really. So that's my take on it, Grace. You wanna
Oh,
Renee? Let me.
I wanted it. Did Renee want to respond?
Yeah, to Priscilla's point, getting up extra early to have to go to school, kids, it's going to be tough for them. That's one thing, and you're correct about that. The other thing too is that building was closed for a reason. How come now they're willing to work on it to fix it, to put kids in there?
Which building are you talking about?
This is the West Roxbury building, the old West Roxbury High School, because that's where it's proposed of going, correct?
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's where it's proposed to go. And so that building, they said, was sinking and had all these issues. So now they want to redevelop it and put our children there. The problem is that West Roxbury is not a predominantly black neighborhood. Most of our kids that go to the O'Brien can walk to school, right? So I think there's a better way. If you wanted to make a move, there are other buildings. You could build a building. You don't have to move it from our neighborhood to educate our black and brown children. So to me, it's by design. I think everything we do is by design. So is it that you can get more non-black children into the school? That is an amazing school to go to. We also, I have a friend who's in the Metco program, and she was saying to me that the amount of children that normally apply to go into the Metco program, that percentage is way down, way down. So, and also I think the enrollment rate for Boston is also down as well.
Mm-hmm. So where are these kids going to school?
Where are they going? Because are they moving out of the city because they have nowhere? There's nowhere to live. Mm-hmm. Is it Brockton? Where is it? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of discussion that needs to happen before you up and say, well, we're moving them. There was no discussion, correct?
Right. No, they just announced it. It was between her and the school superintendent.
And did you even ask the parents?
Right. This is what I'm saying. But another thing too, the fact about our parents though, more of our parents need to get involved with what's going on in these schools. I mean, it just does not make any sense. I know that they have to work. I know they have to work some 2 and 3 jobs. But there should be somebody, and I keep saying this, there should be somebody that you can get, a sister, a brother, a cousin, a auntie, a neighbor, that can, if you can't make it to go up to that school, ask one of them to go and advocate for you and your child. Because the problem, and I have to, Dr. Umar Johnson, I love Dr. Umar Johnson, I don't care what nobody say. A lot of things that Dr. Umar Johnson say are true as it relates to our children in the school system and the way that they are treated. And so the Boston Public School got a long way to go. And the problem, and the fact that we cannot have an elected school committee when we voted for one, that in itself is ridiculous.
Yes.
What is the reason why we can't have an elected school committee when over 80% of Boston residents said that they wanted one?
Well, sisters, I just want to respond to say, I'd like to look at the plan that the mayor has for the school. Mm-hmm. Because if the issue is, the students can't get there, that's not sufficient. The Madison Park High School, when it opened, it was a model school. It was, I'm born and raised here. Every junior high school had shop and cooking and sewing and woodworking and drafting and whatever. And those was removed from that. All the vocational was removed from the schools. And Madison Park High School right now, it's for the past 10 years, is deplorable conditions.
Right.
My son went there in 2016.
But that's because of the leadership as well. I believe between
no,
the leadership and the parents not getting involved, that's
no, parents.
No.
Parents is involved, but it's not. It's part of the whole Boston public school system, which most of the schools is failing. Children have failed to read by 3rd grade. It's a system-wide thing. It's not just the parent. It's the community. We just can't put that on just parents. It's a community issue. That's one thing, because the students should not have to go to school and don't have a schedule. There's under enrollment at that school. There's only like 5 or 6 kids in a classroom. It doesn't even have full enrollment. So,
are you talking about Madison Park?
Talking
Grace?
about Madison, yes, I am. I'm talking about Madison Park High School. They only have like 5 or 6 kids in each classroom.
But didn't Madison Park go have some issues with their leadership back a few years ago?
They was a turnaround school. Then they were level 4, about to be shut down. They brought in a whole new administration. They set up a team, and then the city needs to inform parents of the levels of these schools and the community of the levels of these schools, because your child goes there, you have no idea that this school is a level 4 school. Okay, so they brought in a whole new administration and everything, but me going to meetings, to the parent meetings, and speaking like my son's teacher, my child's coming home and say, "Oh, this, that," and I'm like, "What?" But when I started going there, I just couldn't believe that how the condition of this school, that they have low enrollment, and they said something's going. I went to the meetings when they brought in a new team. They said something's going on at where parents go register their kids or whatever. So I think that the mayor is expanding vocational education. I don't think that is a diss for her to move the O'Brien School. I think the O'Brien School is also a vocational school because it's science. And I think the O'Brien School needs its own, because we need to be expanding vocational education. When I went to school, there was vocation in the schools. And I really mean that for our black males, because our black males are the only males in America who don't have vocational trade skills. When they removed all those vocational classes out of all of the Boston public schools, now our black males, if they don't finish high school or whatever, they have no skills, they're forced into poverty. But if you have trades, you can go anywhere in the world and feed yourself.
That's so true.
I'm just saying, ladies, let us get the plan for this expansion. Let us look at this plan, okay, before we cast judgment on the other things. And
how do we get the plan, Grace?
If our children can go to Metco, to other suburbs, they can go to West Roxbury. And I'm going to tell you, I've been in West Roxbury. There are more black people in West Roxbury than you would believe.
Okay, just like there's a lot more white folks in Roxbury than we would want to believe, right?
Absolutely.
So it's flipping.
People are moving out of the city due to the violence or due to the whatever. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But yeah, let us. I would love to get the plan and let's pick at it.
So how do we do that?
I haven't seen it's available. The plan is available. We just got to call the school department and get it. That's public knowledge. And our elected our elected officials, the city councilors, can get that plan for us.
Okay. All right. Let's
I'll
get
ask
it.
for it,
Yeah. Let's get it. Thank you,
ladies.
Yes, Grace, and I'm gonna call you because I want to talk to you about some things. So I'm gonna call you later on today. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
As always, I'm always listening.
Okay. Call in more. Give us some more ideas.
Yeah, well, sometimes I just like to listen.
Yeah. Thanks for calling, though. We appreciate it, Grace. And we appreciate all the work that you're doing with the.
Oh, we appreciate all the work that you're doing and that she's doing.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
You too.
Bye-bye. Yeah. I'm telling you. Grace was with us when we did our first protest at the Bruce Boland building.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's over by, is that on Morton and, no?
No, that's in Nubian Square.
Nubian Square.
The
oh,
Bruce
the big
Bowl.
building. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to call that the old Fernandez building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
we protested there back in 2012. October 15, 2012. My first real protest. Right, Renee? But yes, Grace has a point. She really does have a point. We do need to see that would be a good idea to see that plan. They do have.
I'm gonna go look for it.
But
I have no kids, but I'm definitely gonna go because I went to Boston Public Schools. I'm gonna look for it because now I want to know. Now I want to know. Okay.
Yeah, I really. Oh, okay. We have a couple more minutes, so yeah. So Renee, exactly what do you have your own organization? Are you part of? You said you're part of Cause, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do at Cause?
So what don't we do at Cause? So
where you located?
So there's no building.
You don't have no
Everyone's
building. Oh.
working out of their house. We're getting together. We're coming up with signs. We're running around developing, getting our meetings together. We're talking to the press. We're getting in the news. We're just trying to be as transparent as possible. Unlike the BMC is. So we're trying to be as transparent as possible. So we're just working really hard to just get this out. We're going door to door. We're doing amazing things.
Well, that's good. I definitely want to be a part. I'm doing a lot myself, but
We
I
need
definitely. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, man. Look here, real quick.
Hey, Siddiqui.
Yeah, look here. I know it's not much time left. I'm just saying we need to move away from this whole thing while seeing a plan. First of all, the plan has not been made available, but the only plan we need to have is that we're going to keep the O'Brien right where it is. I met with David Lee, the architect, and I asked him, can he in fact come up with something architecturally that would work in that area for both schools? And he said, absolutely. So let's not get scammed. It's a STEM school. They want to move it over to the advanced. And I don't know what the sister's talking about. There's a lot of people in West Roxbury, please. But we got to move away from saying we want to see the plan. No, the plan is that they got a scam that they're putting on this community. We're talking about a STEM corridor over there. RCC, Madison, the O'Brien, and the incoming Benjamin Franklin Cummins Institute. Of course, we want to change that name because they was a slave owner. But we can't be going for that okie doke. That's all I call for.
Thank you, Siddiqui. I appreciate you. And I'll see you maybe Saturday at the Big Head Festival. That's right. This Saturday is the Big Head Festival. It's going to be lots of entertainment, and they're going to have vendors. It's going to be a nice time from 1 to dusk. Come out and celebrate the National African American Museum of Fine Arts, I think. All right? Did he go? He's gone? Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm just like, I don't think the O'Brien needs to be moved. I think we need an elected school committee. That's what I think, okay? I think we need to talk about not putting 50-year deed restrictions on people who get money from the city. Come on, really? 50 years? Are you crazy? You're a renter. You're not a homeowner. If you can't get no equity out of your house for 50 years, are you kidding me? Really? I need to get Sheila Dillon on this show, along with Michelle Wu and Mara Healy. I'm serious. This is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Don't let me have to come downtown, my bullhorn and my people.
Deed restrictions is a way to stop people from creating their generational wealth.
Exactly.
So like I said, I've been in banking a very long time.
I started off in banking. What bank did you work for?
Which one didn't I work for? Of course, fleet into Bank of America.
Yeah, I started at Bank of Boston.
Yep. Which became
Bank of America. Yep. I also worked at Mellon.
Okay. Yep.
I also worked at First Trade Union. That was the Carpenters Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And I temped at some other banks, but yeah.
And I did them all. I think in total, I've been through so many banks with their acquisition of others. I think it's a total of 7.
Wow.
So throughout the years. But, when you're talking about deed restrictions and the fact that they want to come in, and my understanding of it is, so I was talking to Diane Wilkinson about it, they now want to come back in and rewrite the original mortgage to extend the restrictions.
To 50 years. They want it for 50 years. Why?
So people can't.
So you don't never want us to have be no home owners, right?
No.
You want us to be tenants forever, like you want us to be slaves forever. It's a joke. It's a joke.
I always push back. I tell I hear everyone saying, when I hear the elected officials talking about we need more affordable rentals. I don't agree with that. We need more affordable ownership.
Ownership, definitely.
When you create that, you're, like I said, you're creating that generational wealth. But we push these rentals. There's more rentals. Let's talk about educating people, financial literacy, right? And teach them how they can take that property and create something that's not only going to put their kids through school, but it's going to help them all the way until way beyond retirement.
That's right.